All right, guys, we're back yet again. Another breaking news video. So there's two things we're going to talk about. First is President Trump has now been subpoenaed by the January 6th committee to testify. So, whoa, that sounds like a big deal. That would be the best TV ever, Crystal. I would love that so much. It would be hilarious.
Remember, wasn't there some reporting that he was considering doing it if, like, they would run it live?
Run it live, yeah.
Live?
Yeah.
I mean, it might be terrible for the country.
Tremendous content.
Be amazing content.
Unbelievable.
The reality of what's likely to...
Before we get to that, I just wanted to let everybody know also, the other thing is now the 8th Circuit Court of Appeals has temporarily blocked Biden's student loan forgiveness plan. We'll talk about that a little bit in a second, but go back to the Trump thing.
Yeah, so probably what's going to happen here is he's going to file an appeal. Democrats are very likely to lose at least the House, possibly the Senate. And then this subpoena lasts through like the end of this congressional term. So if Republicans take power and this is like caught up in the courts, then he's probably hoping to just run out the clock. Very likely what's going to happen here.
I hope his ego gets the better of him, though. And everybody who's giving him advice that's like, don't do it, don't do it. He's like, no, that makes me want to do it more. I'm going to do it.
You never know with him.
I know. I really want to see.
He loves the spectacle.
He does.
He loves the spectacle. He loves being the center of attention.
Yep.
He thinks all news, all press is good press and whatever. Mm-hmm. So you just have no idea with this guy.
Okay. So there's that. Now, we had just did a video a little bit earlier today where we talked about how this was like the, fifth, sixth different attempt that the Biden administration won. Like you had all these attempts to block the student loan debt relief, and it was win after win after win after win. Now, it's been temporarily blocked by the 8th Circuit Court of Appeals. It's a federal court in Missouri, and this lawsuit in particular was filed by, I love this, by Republican states. Mm-hmm. So they're just repping the fact, like, we're the bad guys right here. Right here, guys. We're trying to block the relief for you people who desperately need it. 90% of the people who are getting relief make $75,000 a year or less. It's them, but more specifically, they're actually representing the people who give out the student loans.
The student loan processors, right?
Correct. Right, yeah. And so they're saying, well, we're going to be financially hurt by this, so, we have to block this.
So from the beginning, this was always the path to establishing standing that I thought was the most likely. I mean, is it grotesque that they're like, you're hurting my business of exploiting people? Yes. But they're the ones who can actually say, like, our business has been harmed, therefore we have standing, in order to just, like, get the thing going in the courts. Remember, Biden made that weird change that we covered to the program. He actually took student loan relief away from a few million people because it was, like, this program.
The private loans, yeah, that the government didn't hold, yeah.
Right, exactly. But it was like through a government program, but they were held by private banks. And part of the reason that they made that change to the program was to try to avoid exactly this outcome. So this is not final. This just means the court issued an injunction basically saying, like,
you can't relieve it until after we have our final decision.
You can't issue any student debt relief until we have considered this and decided what we're going to do.
Right.
And I just saw today, 22 million people have already applied.
Yeah.
22 million people have already applied.
Now, let me tell you what, I don't buy that argument. I agree with you that this, maybe it was one of the cases that was most likely to succeed eventually, but ultimately I think the argument's bogus because they're going to get money. They're just going to get it from the federal government as opposed to getting it from the individuals. So how can they say I'm getting hurt?
Well, I mean, I don't know the ins and outs of the student loan debt processing industry, but since the debt is being essentially like forgiven and paid off, that means they're not going to accrue the fees and the interest that they would have. That's my understanding. So, I mean, I think they can show like their business is likely to have less revenue. It's another question so there's two questions, right? Do they have standing? And these are the groups that I thought had the most reasonable case to say, like, we are being hurt. The other question is, are they going to actually find on the merits that the program is unconstitutional, illegal, whatever? That's a different question. And on that, I don't know. And again, I don't have a lot of faith in our court system to be anything other than ideological. But yeah, that's kind of how I'm viewing it.
But one of the concerns from people like Sagar and Marshall was that, like, you know, basically what the Biden administration is doing is they're just sort of throwing money at what's already a corrupt system. So by that logic, it would stand to reason that these people are going to get paid. They're just going to get paid by the federal government as opposed to the individuals, as opposed to the actual students who took out the loans. So I don't know how much they could say they're getting harmed by this.
Well, it's the interest and the fees.
I know,
so
but
the principal, yeah, it doesn't really change. But since that debt is not going to continue to accrue interest and whatever fees they charge and whatever, then, you know, I can see how they could make the case that they're harmed by it.
Yeah, but even if I grant that, 80 to 90% of the debt was held by the government in the first place. They could do whatever the fuck they want with it.
I mean, I agree.
It's these mafia sharks in the middle who are like, oh, you're not giving me my like evil.
Again, it's
cut.
grotesque that they're like, you're hurting me in my business of exploiting people.
This is fucking unbelievable.
But, so again, there are two questions. Do they have standing? Can they show our revenue, our business is being hurt by this action? Potentially. Can they on the merits show that the program is illegal and unconstitutional, like in violation of the law? Different question. Obviously, I don't think that it is. But the courts, you know, they're so ideological that they could just decide that they don't like it. So they're going to find a way to overturn it.
All right. One more point. I want to see if you agree with this or not.
Okay.
I would protest these courts. I think people should be out in front of the Missouri Circuit Court of Appeals.
Agreed. They're standing in the way of 22 million people who have applied now.
Right.
To get student loan debt relief.
Yeah, I know. And people need to know the Republican states are filing this lawsuit. It's that they are the ones leading the charge.
Well, and let me make one more political point, which is that, I mean, this is the most concrete, transformative material program that the Democrats have instituted and that continues to be in place. I mean, some of the pandemic stuff was also quite transformative, but this is what continues to be in place. They're not talking about it. They're not running on it.
Yeah,
they're not saying this shit about
like
the Republicans are trying to take it away from you. It's just like they did it, and then it just was memorable.
It's literally the biggest political win of all time. If you just keep reminding everybody,
and
the Republican states are blocking this. It's the Republican states. They're doing it.
Right.
They're doing it.
You would have your relief tomorrow, but they're trying to stand in the way, and they're all opposed to it.
So are you gonna let that? Are you gonna sit there and take that? What are you gonna do? Are you gonna fight back?
Running any ads on it, not commenting on it at all, like none of the messaging, and then they're like, gee, I wonder why the Republicans are doing better on the economy. It's like,
because they start to buy into the right-wing framing that like,
that's absolutely right.
They start to think like, oh, did we go, was this not a good idea? Is this not popular? Bitch, look at the polls. You shot up massively when you did this.
With young people.
Yeah.
A group that can be hard to turn out and that you need to show up for you, and you're just like, yeah, let's just not talk about this super popular or great thing we did. Let's just pretend that.
So anyway, there you go. Prediction on whether or not this will mean that it'll eventually get totally struck down. Do you have a prediction on that?
I don't know.
You don't know? Okay.
I mean, it would be one thing if you could, you know, make a rational argument based on precedent and case law, whatever, but you can't.
Right.
I don't know what, you know, potentially right-wing ideological judge is going to go to. And ultimately probably end up at the Supreme Court and freaking hang in the hands of, like, you know, Amy Coney Barrett and all those people. So I don't know. I guess if I had to say, I would say they'd probably strike it down because they're so ideological, but we'll see. Let them do it. Let's see what happens.
I'm more agnostic to actually lean in the other direction.
Really?
That it'll stand. Because again, if they strike it down, given the argument, the legal argument Biden used, I see no reason why he can't say, okay,
but
1965.
I just don't think he will. I mean, he didn't want to do this in the first place. He was like dragged to it kicking and screaming. And a bunch of his advisors and his wife and whatever were like, this is a bad idea.
But they're also not dumb, and when they did it and then saw the polls, they were probably like, oh.
Well, they obviously are dumb because they're not running on it. So they saw the polls and then they were like, oh, maybe we went too far and we're not going to talk about it anymore. So I don't know. I'm skeptical that he would really have the balls to do that, but we'll see. See how it all goes.
Anyway, so one piece of hilarious / good news and one piece of terrible news. I really hope that the student loan debt goes through. It's so important. Yeah. Yeah. And it's extra cruel for 43 million people to think that they're in the clear and then have it ripped away from them. I mean, it's just cruel. Yeah. It's just cruel. Yep. By the way, guys, for total side point here, but for Halloween, I'm Zach Morris. You're gonna give it away? I'm Zach Morris, and she's Kelly Kapowski, and so I'm about to dye my hair. Yeah. Highlighter S. I'm about to dye. She's about to dye it. Actually, her daughter's about to dye my hair. Highlighter ass yellow. This could be. I might be hilariously grotesque evidence.
It could be, I don't know, you might be able to pull it off.
I don't know, but I don't even know if these people will see it, because I'll probably I might end up changing it before they even get a chance to see it, so.
They're gonna see it. We have to at least post a picture.
Yeah, I mean, maybe a picture, but, you know, if they see it in one picture, no big deal. It's not. But we'll see. I'm kind of nervous for it, but.
Anyway,
That's
our hot Friday night plan.
Eminem in 1999, Justin Timberlake, same time frame with the ramen ass noodle hair. That's gonna be me. All right, bye guys.